And I'll say this: he's not ranked for a reason. We can end it there.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Call Out Podcast. I'm Richie. We have Rob here in the building, and we have Rodrigo on Zoom. What's up, Rod? How you doing?
Oh, man, how you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing good, man. Feeling good. Let's talk about this UFC 263 coming up. It's going to be a great card. It's going to be a great night of fights. What do you guys think about it stacking up against UFC 261, who we picked had the number one best fight card of the entire year?
Yeah, no, I think this card definitely has the potential to be one of the better cards of the year. A lot of great fights on the horizon, even with the prelims going into the main event. UFC 261 with Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal had a lot of great finishes in that card. So I think we're gonna have to kind of match that volume and intensity with this one. As long as the fights can end in devastating fashion, put on some highlight reel knockouts, I think it has the potential to be one of the best cards. And if not, I still think it could be top three.
I agree 100%. I definitely don't think it's going to match 261 because that fight card was just insane. With Chris Weidman, that nasty injury. I'm glad to see he's okay. What happened with Anthony Smith's opponent? So many crazy things happening. I don't see 263 beating 261, but we're definitely in for a treat this Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. With that being said, let's go ahead and start with the first fight. We have Jamal Hill, ranked number 15, fighting ranked number 14th, Paul Craig. So Paul Craig is 14-4-1, and Jamal Hill's 8-0. Rod, what do you think? Let's start with you. Who do you have winning this?
Yeah, this is a really interesting fight in my opinion. Two up and comer guys, kind of fighting in that bottom ranked, the bottom 10 to 15 ranking there. I think it's a very interesting fight just because Jamal Hill is going to come into this fight with a 3 inch advantage at 79 compared to Paul Craig's 76-inch reach. He's more of that long southpaw orthodox fighter. He keeps his fighters at a distance, throwing that 1-2 really well. He backs guys up into the corner. I think stylistically, it's a really good fight for Jamal Hill to really showcase his skills and let those hands fly. Paul Craig, he's really going to have to rely on that grappling and the ground game to really come out on top. Originally, when I first got this fight, I did think Paul Craig was going to take the dub. But looking more into it, doing my research a little bit more, I think Jamal Hill might take this fight. I think he will have the ability to finish Paul Craig. He is a very tough guy, but unless Paul is able to take it to the ground, I do not think he'll come out victorious in this card.
Oh my God, you literally took the words right out of my mouth. I really thought Paul Craig was going to win this fight as well. But and then the more research I did, the more videos I looked into Jamal, I was like, okay, this guy is actually a top 10 contender 100%. So he's really going to put it on Paul Craig. And Paul Craig really doesn't have very good striking. He's really good from the grappling point of view. So, we both know the fight starts standing up. So I really do think Jamal Hill's going to take this to decision win.
Well, let's move on to the next fight. We have Damien Maia versus Belal Muhammad. So Damien Maia is ranked number 9, and Muhammad is ranked number 12.
This is his last fight on his contract. I think he's actually going to be a very competitive fight. That's what I think. Because I think Muhammad is a lot better striker. For sure, than Damien, but I think in the grappling aspect, we all know what can happen there. So I do see the fight going into the grappling area a lot. And if that does happen, I do see Maia coming out with the victorious win here.
Yeah, and I do like what Robert added to that. It is the last fight on Damien Maia's career. Kind of seems like he's pressed up against the wall, really needing to win to keep his job in the UFC and kind of extend that contract out. One interesting about this fight that I do want to add as well is there is a significant 4-inch height advantage on Damien Maia's side. Belal Muhammad is the shorter man in that aspect. The reach is identical, but I think this is Belal Muhammad's fight to win. I mean, Belal Muhammad, I think, is one of those guys that, like you said, he sits outside the top 10, but he's perennially there. He has the ability to compete with some of the guys that are ranked a lot higher. If Belal Muhammad can utilize his striking and his wrestling to keep the fight on the feet, I think Belal Muhammad does have a clear advantage in this fight. Damien Maia, I mean, he's one of the OGs of the game. You've seen him fight for a title against a prime Anderson Silva. He's always perennially there. He's one of those top guys in the welterweight division. I think Belal Muhammad does take this fight, and I think this is the fight he needs to kind of catapult himself into a top 10, potentially a high one of the lower spots, like a 7 or 8. You've seen guys like the current champ right now, Kamaru Usman. You've seen Colby Covington kind of get past Damien Maia and solidify themselves as a top 5 opponent. And I think it's no different for Belal. he has all the tools in his backyard to get this fight done, and I think he will this weekend.
But now moving forward to the next fight, we have Leon Edwards, ranked number 3, going against unranked Nate Diaz.
Unranked.
He's unranked in both, actually, 170 and 155.
Wow.
Yeah, not ranked at all. But, fighting Nate is still great for your wallet and also just great entertainment as well.
Also, what an insult to Leon, though.
Why?
You don't think so?
Fighting Leon makes you money?
What do you know? I feel like Leon is insulted to fight Nate Diaz.
Well, he took it, so he can't be that insulted. I think fighting Nate is, even though he's unranked, he knows that beating Nate will be a good move in his career. Like, even if beating Nate doesn't take him to the belt, which it will, which is weird, even though he's unranked.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's like a popularity contest at this point.
I think, yeah, you can argue that it is, but I mean, it all is a popularity contest. It all is. Like, you can fight someone that's unranked and improve your career and progress it forward because of who they are.
The one thing I'd say about this fight, particularly like applying to Nate Diaz himself, is when you're fighting the UFC, it's almost like you're in a contract position, right? So, I mean, obviously your record speaks volumes to what you can do in the octagon, but also your ability to sell. And Nate Diaz has transcended into that superstar realm along other fighters like Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal. So I think fighting a guy like Nate Diaz, even though he's unranked in the rankings, he's still a household name. He brings attention, brings eyes to the sport. Leon Edwards is one of those guys that I would consider a dark horse in the welterweight division. He's been a guy that's been deserving of a big fight for a long time. You see him kind of get the short end of the stick with the welterweight division in particular. I think there's a lot of really good guys. Kamaru Usman, taking the title. You have Colby Covington being right there at in the top spot. But then you also have this fight that came out of nowhere, which was Jorge Masvidal getting that KO win against Till, and then also getting that win over Ben Askren, putting him in that superstar contention as well. Getting that fight with Nate Diaz and setting him that BMF belt. And it kind of seemed like Leon Edwards was just that odd man out of that group. I mean, the talent was there. It's just for whatever reason, he didn't get a fight that he needed to get. And then COVID happened. That didn't help as well either. But I don't think it's a stretch to say that Leon is one of the most underappreciated fighters on the roster. I think Nate Diaz is a perfect fight for him because Nate Diaz is a guy who's going to come in. He's going to bang with him. Nate Diaz is not scared to get in a fist fight. And they're both really good at boxing. I like Leon Edwards in this fight a lot just because I think he is the better boxer. I think he's the most well-rounded, one of the more well-rounded fighters in the division. I think he has the pure best boxing in the UFC, in the welterweight division as well. I know I'm going to get some heat for that because he throws very simple stuff, very like the 1-2s, but that's the fundamentals you need to kind of get really high in your game in order to transcend into that into the higher rankings of the sport. I think Leon Edwards can finish Nate Diaz. I don't think he's going to finish him by knockout, but I think it'll be a stoppage pretty early on as well. I think he'll be able to piece him up early, get a nice little cut on that eyebrow and that scar tissue. We have seen that open up a couple of times, and I think Leon will be able to run away with this fight.
And I love how you talked about that. That's such a unique way to win. So you're not saying he's going to really knock him out or stop it based on skill. You just think it's going to be stopped.
Yeah,
just
I like that too.
Fighting Nate it's given that he's sensitive, right? You know he's going to cut up open. So I wonder if that's almost the goal. I wonder if Leon can say, hey, let's just hit him as much times as we can to split it open, and maybe we can squeeze out of here early with the stoppage. I'm not saying that he's going to go for that, but I wonder if some.
No, exactly. And the thing is, when you watch the Jorge Masvidal Nate Diaz fight, not that Leon Edwards and Masvidal are similar fighters, but they're both really precise strikers, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen how much Jorge was able to touch Nate Diaz. Yeah, he was able to get that cut early on. And I don't think it's going to be any different with this fight. I think Leon's going to be able to touch him early. He's going to be able to get a couple shots in. And the scar tissue has always been a problem throughout Nate Diaz's career. I think it's going to be even a bigger emphasis this fight around. I think it's going to be a similar stoppage to the first Nate Diaz Jorge Masvidal fight as well. I think it's going to be a ref stoppage. And we haven't seen Nate Diaz get knocked out besides that one time by what's his name? Stephen Thompson? Is that the guy who knocked
Josh
out?
Thompson.
Or Josh Thompson, yeah. So it's hard to say. I think Nate Diaz is going to get cleaned out and just knocked out. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be that ref stoppage due to cut.
I think Rodrigo hit the nail right on the head here with this one, because I think it's going to be like a Conor McGregor when he hits him and he drops, but Conor is not doesn't go on top of him. I think Leon is going to hit him and he's going to drop, and Leon is going to get on top of him and just ground and pound and not be scared of the grappling aspect of the fighting game at all. I really do think Leon is going to end this fight in like the third or fourth round. I just don't see it going to decision. I just don't see what Nate can do that's going to impress me. Or what has he done over the last few years that he brings different to the game? You know, I'm actually surprised that he even won that Anthony Pettis fight. And come to find out, Anthony Pettis was having some problems backstage. So who knows? But yeah, I got Leon winning this fight by a landslide.
Okay.
Well, Rich is over here like, I don't know about all that, but
okay. I think it's going to be Anthony Pettis repeated over again. I think the fight's going to go like that.
The thing that to me that stands out about this fight in particular too is it's the type of opponent that Nate Diaz is fighting. So Leon Edwards, when I compare him to someone, I think he has clean boxing. I mean, I think he has the cleanest boxing in the division. So when I say that, I don't think Nate Diaz throwing strikes with him is going to be the answer to beat Leon Edwards. Unless Nate Diaz can keep up that pace and that volume throughout 5 rounds, I don't think he's going to have the solution for him. I think Leon has enough of the cardio to match it. And if it comes out to being a boxing fight, I just don't see Nate Diaz having the edge on this one.
Yeah.
And if the fight goes to the ground, I can see Nate Diaz having the edge. But Leon, a lot of people overlook him, but he's a really, really big guy. He's built really well. He's muscular, has good endurance. You can tell he's strong. The guy's been on an unbeaten streak for a while, and he's fought the likes of what you mentioned, RDA, Donald Cerrone. The guy's last loss has been to the champ right now, Kamaru Usman. And it wasn't a bad fight. It was just he lost because he didn't have the wrestling to really counteract what Kamaru had to do for him.
And we haven't been able to see that wrestling aspect because the
guy
hasn't been able to fight, you know?
Nate Diaz, in my opinion, too, is one of those guys that, I mean, he got into that superstar kind of realm of fighters by beating Conor McGregor. But in that fight, in the first round, he was getting tagged up. That boy got cut up, and it really came down to Conor's cardio. That's what was the main
100%
factor where Nate Diaz kind of started coming out on top and really putting that pace on him.
100%.
I don't think Leon's cut from the same cloth. I think Leon's able to withstand his own, and I don't know. This fight's very interesting, but I just see Leon taking this one.
Man, I'll say this: he's not ranked for a reason. We can end it there.
We'll see what happens. The stacks are, it is stacked high against Nate. I think
He's
who's the favorite on this one?
He's the biggest underdog in the card.
Okay.
He's like a plus 400. Leon is like a minus 500, 555.
Okay. I don't think his punches are really going to do much for Nate. I think Nate's going to be able to eat those and kind of beat him down over the fight. But also, it's a 3-round fight, so that's also why I'm scared, because Nate does better in 5-round wars. So we'll see. That's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to watch that one biting my nails for sure. Next fight, we have DVCN Figueiredo fighting #1 ranked Brandon Moreno for the second time. So we know how the last fight went. It went a draw. First of all, let's go ahead and just talk about that, because you disagreed with that, right? You disagreed with the outcome. You feel like Brandon Moreno won that.
I thought he won, but look, I saw the fight again last night, and I think a draw is the correct decision. At first I did think Brandon won because of the takedowns. The way he was taking him down, he was holding him there. Figueiredo would take Brandon down, but Brandon will get right back up. And as far as the striking, it was just neck to neck. It was a great fight. I'm just glad it's happening again for sure.
Yeah, I feel that it was the right call last time. Now let's talk about this time. Rod, what do you think is going to happen second time around?
Man, I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this one as well, but I think Davidson's going to finish Brandon Moreno. When I look at the first fight, I see David Figueiredo showing up on his worst night and Brandon Moreno showing up on his best night. In that first fight, if Davidson didn't get those points taken away, and I think it was either the second or third round, he would have clearly won that fight. There was eye pokes, there was nut shots, a lot of different factors that was on Davidson's side that kind of got that fight to be a lot closer than it was. I think this time around, Davidson already knows what he has to deal with. When I look at this fight, I think of Alexander Gustafsson and John Jones, where the first fight was so great. Everyone was so excited for that second fight. And when it did happen, it was John Jones ran away with it. I mean, granted, Alexander Gustafsson was in a later part of his career where he wasn't as good as he was the first time around. But I think David Figueiredo is just a monster, man. I think he's going to be one of the premier flyweights that's going to go down in history and be in the contention for GOAT conversation. Yeah, I don't see Brandon Moreno lasting this time around. I think he gets finished by Davison. I think it's gonna be pretty early too in the second or third round.
My God, that comparison you made with John Jones was goddamn beautiful because that's exactly what I see too. I didn't even think about that because John Jones for that Gustafsson fight the first time, I think he didn't even train for that fight, and that shit was a crazy fight all the way to the end. So I think Figueiredo this time around, the first fight he was sick. He was in the hospital the day before the fight. He had a tough time losing weight, and he fought. Was it 2 weeks before that?
Mhm.
So this time he's going to come back healthy. He's going to come out strong, and I think he's going to finish the fight too. I don't think this fight's going to decision again.
Yeah. So let's talk about the main event now. So we have another rematch. It's going to be Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Another rematch. The last fight went to a split decision, which was controversial for a few. I think very few people, including Marvin, thought that Marvin won. I feel like it was clearly Adesanya that won. But this time around, how do you guys see it being different or the same? Rodrigo, let's start with you.
Yeah, man. So when I look at this fight, I think you did a really good job bringing up their first fight. Izzy is the GOAT of the middleweight division at this current fight, at the current moment, right? He destroys everybody, finishes, or gets a very unanimous decision. And his closest fight up to date in the middleweight division was against Marvin Vettori. Now, another thing people overlook is his other really close fight in the middle division was Kevin Gastelum as well, right? It was a pretty close fight up to that fifth round where he clearly took charge. Marvin Vettori and Kevin Gastelum are both training partners over at Kings MMA. I think psychologically that does a lot for Marvin, knowing that he's been in there with Adesanya, knowing that he's in there right now with the guy that's been in there with Adesanya as well, and they both had really competitive fights against him respectively. I think Marvin Vettori is coming into this fight with a whole new perspective on how he can beat Adesanya. He got to see Adesanya experience his first loss in May to Jan Blachowicz. Now, granted, that's a whole different opponent. Izzy was going up a weight class, taking on a bigger man. But Jan really showed a part of Izzy's game that a lot of people thought was his weakness, but no one was able to really expose that. In the first fight, Marvin was able to take Izzy down twice. He didn't do much with it, but it's crazy to think that this time around, Marvin won't come out with a similar game plan, but be a lot more aggressive with it. I do think Marvin will be able to initiate those takedowns, take him down, and really inflict some damage. But overall in this fight, I think it's going to come down to the stand-up aspect. I think Izzy's a little bit better in that regards. I think Izzy's a little bit more of a well-diverse striker, and he's going to be able to hit Vettori with some things that Vettori won't be able to kind of counteract. And I think Izzy pulls off a close fight this time around. But I think a lot of people aren't giving Vettori the credit that he deserves. I think Vettori is really going to get in that ass and to do some damage. He's going to expose Izzy a little bit more with that wrestling aspect of this game that he needs to work on. And it's going to be an interesting fight. I think Izzy takes this one, but it's going to be a really, really close fight.
I like what you said, Rod. I really like what you said. You said that because I love the style bender. I'm a big fan. And his takedown defense is his weakness, but it's also his weakness, but he makes it his strong suit. It's also people can't take him down at the same time. They've tried and they can't do it. It's the same thing with Khabib. We all know that Khabib's weakness is the striking, but even Conor, the great Conor, got in there with the striking and look what happened. So you can still know someone's weakness and still not be able to do nothing with it. And I think that's what's going to happen this time around. We all know he's going to come down and wrestle, but he's going to be aware of that. He's going to keep his distance with his jab and his leg kicks like he did with Paulo Costa. He's going to keep that distance, that reach. And I think Izzy really wants to finish this fight. He said it in past interviews. He said it like he wants it to be known that this time I won this fight. Yeah. I don't want to give you any hope at all. I want to destroy all that. So I really do think he's going to come chop the legs, because if you can chop the legs, it's going to be very hard for you to try to take me down. And Izzy's just an overall better striker and I think a better martial artist. So I got Izzy winning this fight and I think he's going to finish him. I don't see this fight going to decision. He's here to prove a point and he's going to make that point.
Yeah, I love how you brought something new to the table about exposing. So it's one to expose something, but then it's another thing to actually do it. So yeah, sure. I guess that game plan was exposed, the blueprint of how to beat Izzy, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do that game plan.
Exactly.
So just because Jan did it doesn't mean you can do it. Jan was also the way bigger guy, and I know this is a talk for another time, talking about the weight, but I feel like since Jan's skill set level is at champion status, he's the champ, Israel's champion status. I think once we start to get closer with the technique, then the weight is for sure a thing.
For sure.
Yeah, we know
100%.
we know from wrestling when you wrestle maybe a lower weight class, but the guy is lower ranked. Okay, not too much because of the technique. I'll be able to get myself out of it, right?
Yes, sir.
But sorry, if I'm smaller and I'm going up, that's what I meant. But we've also wrestled guys that are up just one weight class, but our skill sets are kind of equal.
So it's going to be a match. It's going to be a
tough.
fight. Yeah.
It's going to be tough
100%.
because now you not only do you not have the weight, but you don't have a
The
technique
skill
advantage.
sets.
Yeah, you just because it's equal. So
Yeah.
I don't see Marvin Vettori doing this game plan. I have to see him trying, like you guys said. And also, we talked about this previously. I think the only difference that Marvin has improved, not even improved, but the only difference we're going to see is more aggression, more confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
He has more wins under his belt.
Yes.
That's about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't really improved skill set by much.
I mean, like, look who he fought. His last opponent was Kevin Holland. Like, that's nothing to, I'm not insulting him, but I'm not giving him props either. You know what I'm saying? Because Izzy said it best. Like, you fought the number 10 contender, which is Kevin Holland, and now you jump up to number 3, and now you get to fight for the belt. Like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, that UFC math doesn't add up. So, yeah, what is he going to do? Take him down? No. What is he going to do? Strike with him? It's not going to work out. So, it's like the game plan is, there's no chance here.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to add to that, I mean, I think you guys both really good points to the table. The first fight I saw with Marvin Vettori and Izzy, Marvin was able to successfully take him down twice. So it's crazy for me to think that he won't be able to do it this time around. The real kind of asterisk in that first fight was he wasn't able to keep him down. Izzy was able to get popped right back up, which is something that Izzy's pretty good at. I mean,
which I think will be even worse this time
defense, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Vettori will be able to take him down this time around and hold him down. But the one thing that I look at when I see this fight is the reach advantage. Izzy has a clear 6-inch reach on Vettori, and Izzy is a very precise striker. And I think Robert made a really good point. I think this is going to be a kind of a similar fight in that Polo Costa where he just kind of chops down the leg, kind of takes away that mobility that Vettori does bring. Once you take away the mobility, the aggression is going to kind of come off as well because, I mean, you can only move so much when your leg's damaged. I think it's
the new thing in the UFC, leg kicks, and Gaethje said it best. Gaethje said, if I can hit Khabib with 6 solid leg kicks, I'm going to change the whole fight.
Yeah, and I think Izzy, I don't think it's a stretch to say Izzy's one of the best strikers in the UFC, if not the best. That's where I see Vettori's downfall. I don't think he's going to be able to keep pace for pace with Izzy in the striking department, and I don't think the takedowns are going to be enough. Vettori kind of does have that boring kind of let me take you down, hold you down, kind of waste the clock a little bit, as he did with Holland. I think Izzy's a different animal. Izzy's going to be able to pop back right up, and it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a closer fight than a lot of people do think, but I think Izzy's a clear favorite in this one. I think Izzy will eventually take it as well the second time around.
Also, Izzy's striking only gets better. Like, he's had 100 professional fights. So it's only continuous. Like that Kevin Gastelum fight that you brought up, that fight was crazy. But have you ever seen him in a war like that again? No, because he doesn't need to be in a war like that again. He fights smarter. When you get older, you fight smarter, you fight more strategic wise. He's going to chop the legs. He's going to keep the distance. I just see Izzy.
And he's improved so much since
from the first, and he beat him the first time, and he's going to just completely destroy him the second time.
And Marvin hasn't changed much. And I even think that if Izzy fights Calvin Gastelum, if he fights him again, I also think that one would be even more in Izzy's favor. So, like I said, he only gets better. He only gets better, and it's crazy how you see that at this level. That when people hit that champion status, but they're still growing, they're still getting better. That's not their prime, it's not their peak. So Izzy is a dangerous guy to face. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. So I have Izzy on this as well. I have him win this as well. I do think it's going to be a competitive fight. I think it's going to be a dominating fashion, either knockout or just 5-round just beat down. I don't see Marvin winning one out of 10 times. I see him winning 1 out of 10 times. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching another episode. Go ahead and let us know what you guys want us to do a video on next in the comment section below. Also, let us know your opinions. What do you think? Did we pick the fighters you guys picked, or are we out of our minds maybe? Or I don't know. Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll catch you on the next video.
Later.
All right, Rodrigo, let's talk
Peace
to you
out.
next time, man. Take care.
Thank you guys. Have a good one. All right.